Welcome back, Inebri-art. Andy here as always, and it's actually Halloween, and yeah, that's just how the schedule shook out. And I'm here with Miss Frizzle from, is it Miss Frizzle? Did I get that right?
Frizzle.
Miss Frizzle from the
Yeah.
Magic School Bus, aka Elizabeth from Vixen 77.
hmm
Is it 777 or 77? How do you?
People say both. I like both. I like
Okay,
Vixen 77 because of the, 77 rock and roll, power pop everything out of New York
yeah.
and Michigan 70s.
Um, so it's funny because I was talking with friends, and I'm trying to be less of a douchey guy in
Mm.
general. And so my friends are like, "Oh, who are you interviewing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm interviewing um this person from an all-female punk band." I'm like, "Why do I say that? And I should just say a punk band." Is that
Yeah.
something that you guys kind of face a lot of?
It's something that happens like almost every day. And I find it to be like the word, like the female fronted thing, like the word female itself seems so like anatomical to me and it's kind of like in itself being like here are these five fucking like these objects up here kind of like it makes me feel like that. um so there's that side of it, but I also understand the like wanting to be like, hey, this is like a group of five like extremely talented women out there. But my own personal take on it is that we're just a rock and roll band, like we're just a punk band. You don't have to always, it doesn't always have to be about being a woman. Like I just watched the Joan Jett documentary again, and she has this great quote that's like, they were asking about the band and like sex in the band, and she was like, if I answer this question, that's all this band is ever going to be about. And I
Yeah.
thought that was like a really like powerful thing to be like, yeah, we like own our sexuality and we do every like we're fucking proud of it. But like if we give in to like talk to ourselves focusing on being women and shit, I think that's all anyone's ever going to focus on and not focus on the music. When we first started, people kind of treated us like a novelty act
Yeah.
almost, and that was really shitty. It's like we have to prove to you that we can play guitars, and if we fuck up, it's like, oh, she fucked up because she's a girl, and I think that's stupid as hell. So
Right.
sorry I about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, because it was like I actually had a thought, be like, why do I keep saying that? Because it's just I should be saying a Philly punk band,
Yeah, it's Philly
you
punk band.
know?
Straightforward,
Um,
yeah.
so I actually have spent a reasonable amount of time in Philly. My mother was originally from down there, so we would travel
Right.
down there a lot. And one of my closest high school friends lives down there. Is there a big punk scene? Because I feel like he is a very big music nerd, and so if there's probably like happening punk, he's probably checked it out down there.
There's such a big punk scene that there are like punk scenes within the punk scene kind of thing.
Okay.
There's like the street punks, and then there's like the crust punks, and then there's the rock and roll kids, and then
Crust
there's
punk,
like,
that is something that I am totally just discovering. That is so, it's like acoustic
really,
punk. Yeah, like,
it's like, so there's like this muddy area where crust punk and folk punk kind of like make a Venn diagram,
hmm.
and like a traveler kid type of situation, or there's the other side of crust punk, which is like infest or spaz or like really grindcore type things. And then but with crust punks, there's like this whole stereotype that comes with crust punks. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
like I said, it's something that
Googles.
I just found out about it, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to say I'm trying to remember if the band's name was Days and Days, or if that was, yeah, the band's name was Days and Days. I don't know where they're from. But I stumbled across their video, and I'm like, this is really good, but I want them all to go take a shower.
Yeah, that's
they
how I
just
feel about a lot of guys I dated.
they just look kind of like, it reminded me of kind of like Peaky Blinders, where it's such a
Mm.
great movie, but I'm like, just everyone go bathe because
Yeah, no, they
grossing me
do
out a
need
little bit.
showers.
So is that one of the stereotypes?
Yeah, stereotype is definitely needing showers. Oogles, it's like white kids with dreads.
Okay.
that,
Okay.
that type of thing. I think it was more popular in Philly. I want to say like 7 years ago. I was more aware of that scene 7 years ago.
Hmm.
So it may be just I was like had I don't know. I don't know what's happening with the crust scene in Philly anymore.
So what scene does Vixen 77 fall into? Or see, I hate asking this question because things have gotten so like niche, like punk isn't just punk anymore, and
Yeah.
there's so much overlap. But like, how would you describe for someone who hasn't heard it?
I try to like it's so hard because I first go like, yo, we're just a rock and roll band. Like we just want to have fun. We just want to play. But then to somebody that's not a music nerd, like not me, not you, like some I call them gen pop people,
Hmm.
but like to gen pop people, when I say rock and
Like
roll, they're like,
prison, like
oh,
general
shine.
population.
Yeah, that's what I call them.
Okay, I like that.
People that don't know a lot about music
Yeah.
is gen pop.
Okay, I dig it.
So I'll be like, it's a rock and roll band, and then they're gonna think it's Shine Down. Someone's gonna think it's Shine Down. Someone else is gonna think it's like Led Zeppelin.
Hmm.
And then so just like you said, it's hard to be like it's a rock and roll band, but it's like 70s rock and roll. And so, but to describe it to like a music nerd, I would be like it's power pop, it's 77, it's rock and roll, it's you know, new wave sometimes, maybe a little bit. So you could say it's overlapping and all that, but it's just to me like just rock and roll. I just want to be a rock and roll player, and it's a rock and roll band, and it's a rock and roll show. But the cool thing is we do have kids from like everywhere, like all different genres of the punk community coming to the shows, which is a lot of fun because it's
Cool.
just fun to see everyone and not have like some weird this is a metal show kind of
Yeah.
situation.
Um. So your album's Easy Access was out on the 14th of
Yeah,
October, right?
15th of October.
Was this a COVID project? Was this a project that got hung up because of COVID?
Little of both.
Little of both. Okay.
Yes. So when the band started, so this will be a brief history if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So the band started, and it was actually Kate and these two other people that were in the band, and a mutual friend of Kate and I's that lives in New York was like, "Oh, if you're looking for another guitarist, I have this friend in Philly that also loves playing rock and roll." And so she reached out to me. I think they had been playing for like a month. And so I joined the band, and then we found Jazz the same way through like Jazz the bassist, the same way through just like connections in Philly.
Hmm.
And then we got, some, thunder behind us. We started playing, we attracted some people that wanted to help us out with recording. So we did end up recording an EP, and then going literally March 2020, we went to New York to record at our friend Pete Donnelly, shout out, studio with the old lineup of Vixen. And it was like the first or second weekend of March, and literally a month later, April, May, everything shut down.
Yeah.
And then so during the pandemic, there ended up being some lineup changes, and we ended up with Sarah as a drummer and Sam as a singer. So we actually, before Sam joined the band, we practiced with Sarah at a scuba warehouse in Bridesburg. He wanted to lend us the space to let us practice, and it was an amazing thing, but it was at Scuba-delphia. And then
Scuba-delphia.
yeah, it's
Okay.
Scuba-delphia. You could learn how to scuba dive in Philly. I did not know that,
It's
but you
interesting.
can if anyone listening to this wants to scuba dive. But so after all that, we ended up together. Sam joined the band same way, like through people. We started writing, and like we went in a not a completely different direction, but like a tougher direction than that we were going in. And I was like all about being tougher. And so this new lineup is a product of COVID itself. Like if COVID didn't happen, we wouldn't have Sarah, we wouldn't have Sam, we would be in a completely different place. And we would have released the album how we recorded it before, and we would be missing like 5 songs that we wrote with Sam off the album. So, it's a silver lining of the pandemic kind of thing.
Yeah, it's funny. Like those stories really intrigue me because I find myself very much in that ballpark where going into the pandemic, I worked really hard at Inebri-art, but I had a day job, and I was getting job offers from other places, and
Mhm.
spoke to my boss, and they're like, well, we're gonna make an offer to keep you, and that finally came to fruition, and then 2 weeks later they laid me off.
Oh my God.
So it's just like, oh, it's so crazy. And
Yeah.
but now it's like that kind of afforded me the opportunity just to focus on Inebri-art full time,
Yeah.
and it's
And
accelerating
now you have
faster.
all this crazy shit.
Oh, it's unreal. Like the stuff that's happening is happening so fast, and
Uh-huh.
and even just the simplest things, like we went dark recording for a month because
Mm.
at the time I'm like, I'm only gonna record people if I can talk to them in person. And then COVID hit, and you're like, all right, now what?
Yeah.
And just because of like the situation, I ended up getting so many more amazing guests because
Hmm.
I had no choice. And now I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep that going just because I get to talk to, we have a
Yeah.
lot of people that come through town, but not not like you have access on the internet. So
Yeah, worldwide.
right, yeah. So do you guys have plans to tour? I know.
Yeah, we want to tour. We don't have a plan yet. So with COVID, everything kept getting pushed back along with the release of our album.
Mhm.
So our original plan was the album was going to come out in July and we were going to tour in the fall, but it ended up being pushed back to October. So we're looking to tour next year or the beginning of spring, hopefully. I want to tour. I love touring. I've been in bands that have toured before, and it's a road trip is my favorite thing in the entire world, and I can't wait to do it. And I think it'll be very interesting to see how five of us will fit in a car. I know we'll get a van and it'll be big and stuff, but I mean, like, like there's like in the real Scooby Doo movie when Daphne shows up and has like a million suitcases.
Yeah.
Like I think that'd be all of us. I think all of us need to reel it back in a little bit, and I think that'll just be like a fun part of tour because everyone's gonna share. Like it's the clothes. We all want clothes, so I think we're all just gonna end up sharing each other's clothes for tour. So I
Yeah.
think I might most excited about just the logistics of it, and I
It
want to see everyone. I want to play everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
and it is an interesting thing. Like you think of touring bands as with the tour buses and flying on jets, but when you're in those smaller bands, it's like you don't have the ability to kind of get up and walk away from the people. You're stuck next to each
oh
other
no,
for the entire ride. And
it'll be like a group chat in real life 24/7.
and
I like
then you got to text the person next to you about the other person on the other side of you.
no, none of that.
But yeah, I was talking with his name's Jackson Weatherby, and he is the front man for the Elevators, and he was saying that they actually now have a pretty sizable van, but one of the logistic things that they kind of found as a workaround is they all went and got I guess Planet Fitness or some like national chain gym, like gold members for certain members
Yeah.
of the band. So then like they're like, yeah, we go, we work out, we bring a guest, one of the other guys in the band, and then we can shower and
Shower,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Better than a truck stop.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I am not the worker outer in the band. I think all the other girls work out. I'm a like I walk everywhere in Philly and that's enough for me type of person.
Are you born and bred in Philly, or are you a transplant?
I am a transplant. I've lived in Philly for about 10 years in South
Yeah.
Philly. I am originally born and raised in Orlando, Florida.
Okay. So
Yeah.
South
So,
Philly, how
mhm.
close is that to Flower Town?
The Flower Town, I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Okay.
At a place. I
I'll so
also only like know Philly because I don't
okay.
have a car, so I see the city.
Oh, all right, that makes sense.
Heard of Flower Town before? It's like a real like. Is it in New Jersey? I guess
No,
everything's
it's
a
like
German.
it's really close to Philly. I know it's like Flourtown, Germantown, Philly, because that's where my
Oh, okay.
grandmother
So
lived.
like northwest-ish of
Yeah,
the city. It's over there.
yeah.
Probably a couple miles away. I don't know. Can't get
Um,
there like
uh, so what got you into music in the beginning? Was it punk, or did you start
um
off more on like a pop genre?
a, a little bit of both. So I grew up in a family that loved music.
Hmm.
Like I grew up loving James Brown, CCR, like Zeppelin, Sabbath, Doors, obvious, like all that shit. Um, the young, like some of the first things I can remember is music, and then that was a huge part of my life. And then in fifth grade, I was listening to the radio at night, classic rock channel on Sunday night, and at midnight, Little Steven's Underground Garage came on, and it was before Sirius XM. Like this was when the radio show came on at midnight, only on Sundays. You had to tune in, and that first night they played garage rock, they played, and then they played 77, like Johnny Thunders, they played the Ramones, and I was like 11 years old and I had never heard this shit before. And like my brain exploded. And I used to stay up every Sunday night with a pen and a pad to write down the
Hmm.
artist when he would go over them, and then go on like Kazaa or whatever. And
Kazar.
like Kazam, I don't remember.
Kazam. Yeah.
And LimeWire, the one that's like LimeWire, and like download these, like rip off these garage bands and stuff. And so that then started my affinity for everything music, and that has included literally everything. I love every genre. I love pop music. Taylor Swift is one of my favorite people. I love local bands still. So it's literally been a huge part of my life. And in fifth grade, also, is I begged my mom for a guitar, and she got me a guitar, an acoustic guitar first.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, I got my first electric guitar when I was like in sixth grade. And I remember being like, I will never be able to play the Ramones. How do people play power chords? Like, I can never. I thought the Ramones was like the hardest music to play in the world. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's harder than people think, actually. But like, I can't remember a time where I wasn't playing or I wasn't listening to it. And I think I'm lucky in that sense. I think some people get raised in families, not saying like, oh, boo hoo, but like, why don't you like music?
It's funny. Like your story was reminding me a lot of kind of like my my childhood. Like because the thing that really got me into music. Well, I shouldn't say that because I was playing music from like elementary school on, but
Mm-hmm.
like when I found like my music was staying up late to watch Headbangers Ball,
Oh, yeah.
and I instead of like writing it down, I would put in the VHS and just like record
Record it.
as much as I could, and
Yeah.
um and even my friends today give me a hard time. They're like, you're a music snob if it becomes popular. You're like, nah, I don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You took
but
away my favorite restaurant kind of thing.
yeah, and like I really like kind of finding the obscure bands that people aren't listening
Mm-hmm.
to because I don't want to hear a song 1,000 times over, which
Yeah.
in the MTV days that's what happened. It's a
Mm-hmm.
little different now though.
Yeah, you have the more so the ability to have a pretentious taste in music now. Like it's a little easier to do that. And I'm saying pretentious not in a negative way. I'm saying like you have the ability to be an audiophile.
Hmm.
I can go online and find everything I want. I can go find, a fucking band from Belize in 1979 and
Yep.
find their like EP that their friend recorded. How cool! Like that's so cool because it used to be like if you're not a big artist, like we really don't care about you.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that there were independent labels and shit in like the 60s that were recording these frat rock bands for like $50,
Yeah.
and these 45s exist. And I think you had to spend all your time at a record store before. Not saying that's not cool. Like I would do that still to this day.
Yeah.
But now you have the ability to just devour it for hours if you want, like anytime, your phone, your computer, anything. And I think that's really cool and that people don't use it to the full extent that they should, I think.
And well, no, I think you're right. But and one of my favorite things is there's a dive bar like literally, I don't know, 20 yards from where I'm sitting, and it is this perfect dive bar where it's just grungy and run down, and everyone there, it's like there's just booze, like you can't get food there,
Yeah.
but they play music off of a off tablet. So all the bartenders, instead of having kind of like a muzak going, they put on their playlist, or they
Yeah.
mess around with stuff, or like, oh, you know what, you should check out. And
Yeah.
there's been multiple times where like you go in and you'd be like, listen to something, you'd be like, what are we listening? Who's got the tablet? And
Yeah.
just have handed it off to like a patron and be like, oh man, Tony, you got the music today, and
Yeah.
it's just a fun way to share music.
I love that. I have a bar less than 2 blocks away. Same shit. Like
Yeah.
literally last night I was there and we were all handing around a phone playing Spotify.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we be like. Oh, and then someone's like, "Yeah, I don't really dig that," or they're like, "Oh, that's really good," and
Yeah.
it brings back kind of those. I feel like there was a good decade to 15 years that the internet ruined, like good bar conversation,
Uh-huh.
where you used to like have borderline arguments over like, no, that actor's so and so, but like now you just
Yeah.
like hang on, you look it up, go, yeah, whatever, that's who it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, but with the music,
You're right, I'm wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's still that way with music and opinions on movies.
Yeah. We were listening to butt rock though.
You were listening to what?
Like Nickelback. Butt rock.
Bro, first of all, okay. So that same bar has like this one musician he plays every Tuesday, and he's got one of the most phenomenal. Huh?
Does he do Nickelback covers?
Sorta, yes. But he's got an amazing voice. He's one of the least serious people I've met, and so he like, oh, what do you guys want to hear? Blah blah blah, and takes requests, and inevitably someone shouts, "Play Nickelback," and he's like, "I'll play it, and you're gonna sing it because you secretly like Nickelback." And every time he plays it, like the whole bar ends up singing it.
Well, yeah, everyone knows all the songs to like every Nickelback,
and they're catchy, whether you like them or not. They're catchy.
Yeah.
So I was telling this story to a musician on the podcast, and because she was kind of just getting started and was playing a lot of bar gigs, and I'm like, oh, blah blah, and so then it got real kind of quiet, and she's like, well, I can't really comment on that because one of the guys in Nickelback owns my label, and I'm just like, oh shit. And in my head I'm like, but I said people secretly like them.
Yeah, they have that one creepy song that's like, I like your pants around your feet.
Yo, yeah. That's the one he plays too. Like when he gets
up. That's weird.
Yeah, that's it. But I mean,
that song is crazy. They're weird. I like it. I mean, what is Scott Kroger? He's married to Avril Lavigne. They're like,
is he really?
Yeah, she covers. She does a cover on her last album, not this like resurgence of Avril that's happening on her last album that no one cared about. She did a Nickelback cover of "This Is How You Remind Me," and it just sounds like Avril. Like it sounds like she's singing karaoke. They didn't change it much at all. But if anyone wants to listen to Avril Lavigne sing "This Is How You Remind Me" or whatever, it exists.
I always feel like I feel there's two ways to do covers. One is you do it from like a tribute band style, like with Weezer doing Africa, where you almost have a hard time telling which one it is.
Yeah.
And then the other is you take it in the completely opposite direction. I feel like if you try to do it in between, it just never works.
No. Do you know Chacone Youth? Like Sonic Youth did Chacone Youth.
Yeah.
Which is, it's Kim Gordon, Thurston Moore, and then I don't know the guy's name, but he's from this band New, NEU, which is like a no New York, no wave band that was around the same time. They
Okay.
have an album, the White Album, and they do a cover of Madonna's Into the Groove. And I
Oh,
highly recommend that you listen to it. It's very cool, but it's what you're saying. They took it in the opposite direction
yeah.
of, and then also on that same album, they do a cover of Addicted to Love, and it's literally just a recording of Kim Gordon singing it over a Muzak karaoke version of Addicted
That's
to Love.
weird. Uh,
So it's a good deep dive album if anyone wants to listen to some Sonic Youthy type of stuff.
one of my favorite he's a cover artist for sure, but definitely takes it in a completely different direction is Richard Cheese.
Okay, yes, the lounge singer.
Yeah, and it's so much fun to listen to. Maybe I have to play that next time I go to the British Beer Company. I don't know if they have experienced him. That'll be fun. So is there a band like who's the bucket list band that you guys want to tour with? Like, is there that band that
I
you're like, I'd really love to open up for insert
I
band here?
know as a band, I know Bikini Kill would be really cool for us. Like I'm speaking at because I know my own personal artist that I would like shit myself for.
Yeah.
But as a band, definitely Bikini Kill. Um, Obviously Joan Jett and the Blackhearts would be awesome. We had a chance. We played with Sherry Curry before the pandemic, which was really cool.
Didn't Joan Jett
I
just
would,
tour? I think
huh?
wasn't Joan Jett just on tour?
Yeah, with like Def Leppard and Motley Crue.
Yeah. She
They
played
played
Fenway. Yeah, okay. I'm like, I feel like she was at Fenway, but I can't remember.
Yeah. So there's that. I would love to open for the Distillers. Would be huge
Okay.
for me. I think if Hole got back together, the whole band would
The
like to
whole
open.
whole band.
Yeah, the whole band would love to open for Hole for sure. So like, going back to like not wanting to do everything about women, what we try to do as a band is be inclusive of women. Like our cover photos were all shot by women. Like
Hmm.
we try um the music videos are all shot by local Philly women. So we would want to continue that to like open for, a lady band or like a queer band would be cool or anything but some like dude band screaming at me. Not that I don't love dude bands that scream. There are
Yeah.
so many bands I love that are dude bands that scream, but like I'm just tired of because what comes with the dude bands that screams are the inevitable douchey dudes.
Right.
I'm not saying there aren't douches at like a Joan Jett concert or whatever, but there are less chances of there being douches backstage
Hmm.
at those types of concerts, at least I think. And like I'm not gonna put anyone on blast or anything, but there have been multiple incidents where just like people are fucking weird about shit backstage and like especially like I don't know. There's just a ton of stuff. So like I just want to stick with, opening with our idols because all the Distillers, Joan Jett, Hole, Bikini Kill. We could put L7 on that list. Like they're all idols for us, and we would all love for them to even like hear us. Just
Right.
take one listen. You could hear one snippet of one song, and I would be cool with that. You know,
And it's
like
it's always cool like um I was talking to like I said, Jackson Weatherby, and he was talking about God, what band was it? It wasn't Stick Figure. There was another band. So he plays like, I don't mean this derogatory, but it's just a good descriptor for his music. White guy suburban reggae.
oh yeah, I actually know a white suburban reggae person
Yeah,
at the moment.
and so he was talking about a band, and it's totally escaped me the band that he was telling me about. That he's like, I really figured that, I would definitely meet him someday. He's like, but the weird part is like, I have his cell phone number now and we text, and it's
Yeah,
like those kind of like, those are such cool moments.
yeah.
I was interviewing a previous guest, and I kind of went into the spiel before, like when I did with you, explain who we are and blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of stopped me. He's like, I know. And I'm like, what do you mean you know? And he's like, well, I've heard your show. And it just like, it wouldn't even register like what he
Yeah,
was
you're like,
talking about. I don't even, what do you mean you heard my show?
yeah.
So
What do you
it's,
mean you liked that?
yeah. And you listen to more than one episode? What's wrong with you? Yeah.
Do you get embarrassed about? I get embarrassed sometimes when people bring up
uh,
writing song. Like
I don't know if
sometimes
it's
I feel like I'd be put on blast. Maybe embarrassed isn't the right. I get shy, overly shy. Like if people are like, "What do you do?" and I'm like, "I'm in a band."
I think it's more, and it's really really weird for me
Mm.
because like that was one of the most surreal moments. But like I do so much in Plymouth that people are like, oh, you're famous. I'm like, I'm famous on two streets. Like there's
Yeah,
two streets in Plymouth where people know me. So like if it's on those streets, like I don't even really think about it. It's just kind of
yeah,
like I went out on a date a while ago and I'm like, do you want to go somewhere quiet or somewhere where people are gonna come, but like run into and talk to me? And she's like, let's go
yeah,
someplace quiet. And within 3 feet of walking in the door, someone turned around and was like, Andy, what's going on? I'm like, I told you
yeah.
that's what happens. Um, but but like it we were out in Vegas recording one of our shows and someone recognized me on the elevator and that was just like he's like, don't you remember who I am? I'm like, no.
No,
I'm so sorry, I don't.
that's happened here on South Street and stuff. People will stop me, or they'll be like, "Hey, like I recognize," or "Hey, like I like your band," or like blah blah blah, and I'm like, "Thanks." And I like,
I'm gonna run away now.
yeah, all right, well,
But
thanks. See you later.
I don't know if I get shy. It's more just like this, like I'm looking for the rational explanation beyond they actually like what we do. Being
Mm,
like,
yeah,
that's our T-shirt. Did you get that at Goodwill? Did someone loan that to
yeah.
you? Did you find that on the subway? Like,
You bought that?
they'd be like, no, I didn't. Yeah, and it's like, why? Yeah, so it's a very really weird feeling.
Hmm.
And then kind of, do you ever get the feeling like not that you're always performing, but kind of like people are, I don't want to say always watching because that
Pay
sounds like
more
I'm paranoid.
attention.
Yeah, just kind of like, if you're out having a shit day that you're like, oh, this could like represent the band if I'm rude to someone.
Yeah, like there. So in our previous lineup, there were like definitely moments where outside of the band and just in Philly in general, there were moments that were like, fuck, this could like um affect the way people perceive us or stuff. I'm not saying anything bad obviously happened or whatever. It's just like,
But it could literally just be someone having a bad day.
yeah, well, this person got in a fight at a bar, and I'm like, well, fuck.
Oh, yeah, that's bad
I
because
have
then
to
you
break
could be
this
like,
fight up now, and now you're the
yep,
person that fights,
yep,
kind
yeah. And
of.
did it cost us a gig or,
It
yeah.
did cost us a gig.
Yeah, see that happens, and
Yeah.
I've seen musician friends of mine who've been out and got a little too drunk and then they've lost gigs because of it because you're
Yeah.
the drunk guy.
Luckily, we don't. Right now, I don't. I'm like the California sober. Like I smoke weed all fucking day, but I
Okay,
don't drink. Kate,
is
not
that
to
what that's
blow up.
called, California sober? I've
Yeah,
never.
apparently
Okay,
I just learned that recently.
okay,
I
because
think
I have a
it's
lot of
stupid, but I
friends.
think it gets to the point.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who've been like, oh, I'm sober now, and be like, bro, you're stoned every day.
Every, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way to be. But like, only I don't drink. The other guitarist doesn't drink. She just smokes weed, and everyone else, the other girls, the three other girls, they drink, but like nothing outlandish.
Hmm.
Like if anything, I was the issue when I was drinking. That could that the fight story wasn't me,
Yeah.
but I was a messy drunk person, and I know I don't think it affected people in the band at that point, but it affected my life.
Yeah. We had a stand-up comic at one of our shows recently, and she does this bit about how she had to stop drinking because she was, quote, too good at it.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw. an interview with Grace Slick recently. Actually, she was on Letterman, I think, in the '80s. Grace Slick, the singer from Jefferson
Yeah.
Airplane, and he was talking to her about because she had quite the reputation for being a like drunk.
Yeah.
And he was like, "So you think you had a problem?" And she's like, "I don't think I had a problem. I think I was too good at it." She's like, "I never passed out, and everyone would just be praying, pass out, Jesus, fuck, like
Yeah.
pass
Go
out."
to bed.
And he's like, "And I never did." So
Yeah.
that was the issue.
Yeah. And it's a weird thing now that weed's legal.
Oh yeah, you're in Jersey, huh?
No, Massachusetts.
Oh, Mass.
Yeah.
Oh, I lived in Boston for a year.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
In Dorchester.
Oh,
Way
nice.
down by Ashland. Yeah.
Yeah. We work a lot with Dorchester Brewery. It's a great place.
Okay.
But I am about 50 yards away from Plymouth Rock and the Mayflower right now.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Mass was the first place I moved after Florida, and it was a culture shock.
I can see that.
Boston, like moving straight to Boston from Florida, was very interesting.
What was the most shocking? We're kind of assholes.
That the accent's real. That whole like literally my first day in Boston, I was on the T, and at that point I was staying in my friend's warehouse in Jamaica Plain, so it was like the Orange Line from Stony or something. And it was my first day there, and I was going somewhere, and this guy's on. I'm about to fucking terribly do a Boston accent. Like this is going to be a horrible version of the Boston accent.
Yeah, it'll probably still be better than like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
He was like, "Yeah, I just fucking got out of prison, ma." No, I fucking told her it's not my kid, ma. Like all this, like this guy was going off, smoking a cigarette, and like there's no public transit in Orlando. Like we were doing Boston accents as jokes like my whole life.
Yeah.
Like to be an asshole. And then like I moved up there and it was insane. And I didn't know how the radiator worked. I turned it on and it started spraying water everywhere. I was like, I didn't know you had to shovel your sidewalk. Like I have no idea what salt was at the time. Like it was the weirdest it was like a crash course of living up north. So I was like, all right, gotta move a little south. So I ended up in
Yeah, I love when people move here from like a warm place and you'd be like, "Oh, well, good luck this winter." And they're like, "No, I know it snows." I'm like, "Yeah, you don't get it." Like
it snowed in April. It was the year of the marathon because I remember Marathon Monday. It was the year of bombing.
Oh, okay.
So it was Blizzard Juno. There were a couple nor'easters and then there was Juno. And it snowed like 12 feet in Boston.
It's a nor'easter.
Oh, yeah, nor'easter. And I'm on acid in the backyard.
Yeah.
Nor'easter.
Listen, kid.
Listen, kid. Or big time. I love when people are like, "Oh, fucking big time." I'm like, okay.
I didn't realize that was a Massachusetts thing.
Yeah, no one says big time.
So my buddy who lives in Philly was living out in Chicago for a while. And he came home with this girl he was dating, and we're sitting in my kitchen, we're talking. And I was talking about hanging out with mutual friends. And all of a sudden she goes, "Oh," and I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You're not in a band." And I'm like, "No." She's like, "I thought you were over there playing polka." And I'm like, "No, sorry, poker."
That's like someone kept saying my rum. Like someone kept trying to tell me about their room, but they're like, "Yeah, it's my rum." And
it's
I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. Or the rough.
Okay, yeah. I guess stop at the bubbler.
Oh, I learned what that was. The water fountain.
Yep. Bubbler. Packy's a good one.
Packy, I thought was racist when I first heard it, to be honest.
It's
I thought people kept telling me it was a package store.
Yes. And so one of our other shows is called Bar Talk. A little plug, go check it out if you work in the bar and restaurant industry.
I do.
And we did the research and found out why it's called the package store.
Why is it?
When Prohibition was repealed in this state, you could buy alcohol, but it had to be wrapped in brown paper before you left the store. So they had to package your liquor before you left. So they became the package store.
Oh, so it's an alcohol thing. That's so Massachusetts.
Yeah, and to the point where Massachusetts people, you can be like, "Why is it called a packy?" And they're like, "I don't know."
Yeah, they're like, I don't know. And I'm
Yeah,
like, okay.
yeah, it's
Is
all
that
sorts of.
where the brown paper bag stem from, you think? Is that
Um. Oh, like
modern day
the hobo
pack?
koozies?
Is
I don't
it brown
know.
paper bag because of that?
I
I really hope that's the reason.
I feel like that's an everywhere thing, though.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what they did for Prohibition down here. I'm sure they just continued to sell it. It seems like a very
Oh, I
Philly thing
mean,
to
they
do.
still sold it, but it was just there wasn't a
Oh
specific
yeah.
store, you know. Um, yeah, so it was just, and I mean, this was like a year ago when I heard that story, so it's just
Oh
like,
wow.
it's not,
New.
people don't really know why, you know.
I would. We don't have corner stores in Florida. Or like in Orlando, we have just like gas stations, like 7-Eleven and shit. It's nothing like up here.
In Philly, I remember I was down visiting family one time, and they're like, "Oh, we're getting hoagies,"
Ah,
and I'm like,
yeah,
"What
they're
is a hoagie?"
the sub.
What's up? Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's good. Do
it's.
you know what a grinder is? Because no one's been able to tell me. It's a hot hoagie, I guess. But
Oh, I would have just assumed it's the same thing.
no,
But
I don't know. I thought it was the roll that it's on. No one will
yeah,
explain it to me. Because in Florida, there's subs.
yeah.
Here, there's hoagies. In Jersey, there's subs. There's Martins and shit. And then I have friends from outside of New York in like the Hudson Valley or where Westchester area. They say that it's called a wedge up there.
A wedge. That's so
A
weird.
wedge. Yeah, I don't fucking know.
um. So obviously, we're big music fans because we're talking about music.
Mm-hmm.
No, some of my
Sorry.
favorite one. No, some of my favorite ones are when they go off the rails because to me that's like the interesting part where you find out. So my whole premise behind this podcast is you get to find out what the people are like, and I feel like
Oh,
if
I
you
like
like the
your.
people, you're more interested in what they're doing.
Mm.
So that's kind of the
Oh,
premise, and so I like when it goes off the rails.
okay.
Um, I got to interview the voice, and I'm terrible with names. The voice of Invader Zim,
I don't know his name, but I grew up with Invaders. Invaders and
and
was on when I was a
all
kid.
we did was argue about Star Wars.
Okay.
So
Did he do it in the Invaders and voice though?
he's kind of just got that voice. I mean,
No.
it's more like him. It's like a louder, more excited version of his voice.
Wasn't the I this may be you may know the answer to this. This may be just like something I think I misheard, but Invader Zim was that guy like a teenager and they gave him like money to do that show? Like I feel like that it's
The
like a weird.
creator,
Yeah.
he was a comic book artist.
Okay, so I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he did. I don't know how old he was,
Yeah.
but his claim to fame, I think, was called oh shit, I think it's called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac was his comic.
Mhm. I don't know much about comic. I know a little.
Yeah.
There's a little comic in front of me. I'm lying to
Yeah.
you.
And you just rad yourself out because I wouldn't have known. But I think that was the name of the comic, and then
Okay.
somehow ended up doing Invader Zim. I don't. I'll have to get him on the show. I don't know. Excellent
Oh.
question. Um, so the album's out now.
Mhm.
Where can people go to listen, pick it up? Is it on vinyl?
Every fucking platform. Okay, so every platform you can imagine, Tidal, Apple's, as our senior likes to call it, iTunes, but Apple's.
Apple's
Uh,
okay.
the other ones that I can't, YouTube, our whole album's up on YouTube, song by song. You can do the Shazam if you hear it out loud. I think Repo Records has some of our CDs. We only have CDs right now. Pick
Mm-hmm.
one up. Um, we're looking into getting vinyl made of the album. We've just been like doing everything ourselves and bit by bit. So I want vinyl, the rest of the girls want vinyl. So that is our next merch step. I also would like
Yeah.
to make like rolling paper things. I saw that you can make rolling
That's
paper,
kind of cool.
but I think the vinyl is more important than the rolling
Yeah.
paper merch.
I was talking with Michael Crane from Dead Cross the other day, and they're making cassettes. He's like, "Yeah, it's a thing now. People want
Hell yeah.
cassettes," and I'm like, "Why?"
That's funny. Well,
Like,
all the punk bands, like for as long as I can remember, I want to say for the last 17 years, punk bands, like my friends' punk bands and local bands, have been putting out tapes.
Really?
but I'm not sure because it was cheaper. I know everything's getting more expensive with like retro shit being back, but like you could buy a tape multiplier and just like have one tape made and then easily record over, like I used to record over my sister, like
Of course, yeah, yeah.
you can just tape over anything.
It's you,
So,
and you put the little tape over the little plastic tab in the back so you can tape over the
yep,
music you don't want to hear.
yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
So it's funny. And that was the same thing with vinyl too, is that all my friends' punk bands were putting it out like 17 years ago, and everyone was always like, why are you doing that? And now it's come back. It's weird how everything's come back. Like my roommate's kid is like 14 now, and she just wants to look like 2003.
Well, my youngest is
That's
like
when tapes
listening
were
to Nirvana and the Beatles, and my son's favorite concert. He'll be 21 next year.
okay,
That
cool.
he's been to was Motley Crue.
Hell yeah,
I'm
Molly
like,
Crew
really?
rules. Mick Mars just retired a couple days ago
Oh
officially.
no, shit, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's gone.
He was an older dude, yeah.
He lasted a lot longer than I thought he was with his whole spine being one piece.
Yeah.
I met him. He's
Oh,
nice.
did you?
Yeah,
That's cool.
at NAM or NAM, the music convention in Anaheim every year. I got to go to in like 2009, I want to say. He was there. Very
Pretty
cool.
sweet. Um, so we got the album vinyl soon. Just want to make sure we do all like our promo stuff that you got to do.
The show, our next show, can I say that?
Oh,
I can say the date
you
so it
can. I'm
doesn't.
not sure when this is gonna go up. It goes up on Mondays. Let me see.
Well, I can say if you went to it, thank you.
Okay, what's the date? And I can tell you. So I think this is gonna go up
Uh,
the 21st or the 28th.
of November.
Yeah,
Okay, so then our next show after that would be December 7th. It's a Tuesday at Khyber Pass in Philadelphia.
Khyber
I
Pass.
Yeah,
Okay.
like KHYBER. Um, I don't know the other bands off the top of my head, but if you want to come see us, we're definitely going to be there that night, and it'll be a lot of fun. And thank you if you came to the two other shows that
In
happened.
between then.
Yeah.
So my buddy's been bugging me to get down to Philly. So now when I come down, I got to see if you guys are playing.
Dude, yeah, we play uh November 7th and November 25th. Between those are the
Yeah.
two shows down there.
Yeah, I won't
So,
be down there by then.
well,
Maybe springtime, but
I would love to come to tour up there to hit Boston and like Worcester and stuff. So,
oh, you should. There actually south of Boston, there's like a really like great venue that you should check out. It's called Soundcheck Studios.
okay.
It's a band rehearsal space that they've added this huge concert venue, full stage and lighting and sound and
Holy shit,
video.
that's awesome. Okay.
It's pretty amazing, and they get touring acts through there, and where it's close enough to Boston where you can pull people, but it's not going to be Boston price.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's what's hard outside of the big cities is getting people other than the locals to come. You want the locals to come, obviously,
right.
but sometimes only a tiny bit of people, which
Yeah.
I'll still play. I'll play in front of your fucking dog. Like it doesn't matter who comes.
Yeah.
I'll play.
Yeah, and my thing is like I want to see more touring acts and more types of touring acts. Like we have in Plymouth, we have the Spire Performing Arts Center, and they get a ton of people. And Memorial Hall gets like some decently big names.
Yeah.
But it's all like aging rockers and or jam bands.
Okay.
And they're fine, but it's like give me some variety. But
Oh yeah.
such is the life when that's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, jam bands are fine, but not my preference.
Same. It's cool. I respect you musically.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't need to see him 9 days a week. But thank you. Oh, before I go, let's ask a random. Okay, so random question of the day. I'm still trying to figure. We're like 315 episodes, and I still really don't know how to end the show. So I'm going with a random question. What if you're out trick or treating? what candy would make you egg their house?
Peeps. Halloween Peeps.
Do they make Halloween Peeps?
They make ghost Peeps and shit. Yeah.
Oh, that's garbage.
That would make me egg a house. And so would, like, if someone put out that weird, like, seafood candy stuff. I don't know. There's like
that sounds disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
I'd have to go with Whoppers.
Whoppers, no mothballs for you.
No.
I think I like a Whopper if I'm given a Whopper. I would never whop myself, but I would definitely
never whop yourself.
Never whop myself.
Remember, kids, don't whop yourself.
Don't only take them from your friends.
Liz, thank you so much. It's a lot of fun. And to our listeners, we'll see you guys again next week. And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again for listening.